Italy. Here, every square, museums, cathedrals, and palaces are evidence of the grandiose, complicated history of art and the relationship of the Renaissance city-states. Volumes have been written about it, dozens of documentaries and feature films have been shot. However, the enlightened Italian elite has never been indifferent to art of a different nature, in particular to the art of the East. A distant land full of unexplored exotics could not but arouse interest and attract travelers and collectors to the East. Let us remember the journey of Marco Polo and his book about the diversity of the world, where the author, perhaps for the first time after the antiquity, describes the lands on the territory of present-day Uzbekistan. Marco Polo's itinerary went through Urgench and Khiva, Bukhara and Shahrisabz, and finally through the capital of the medieval empire of Amir Timur, Samarkand.
But actually, Islamic art and architecture is quite present in the Italian territory, from south to north, from Palermo to Venice. And there are geographical, cultural, and historical reasons for this. Italy has always been intertwined with the East.
Back in the 13th century, the most famous book in the history of world medicine, Kitab al-Qanun fi Tib, the Canon of Medicine, by Abu Ali ibn Sina, Avicenna, was first translated into Latin in Italy. The translator was Gerard of Cremona, named so after the place where he was born. When the printing press was invented, Avicenna's canon became the second printed book after the Bible. The great Dante wrote about the great healer and thinker from the East in his Divine Comedy, and Leonardo da Vinci in his anatomical codexes. We begin our research into Uzbekistan's heritage here in Rome from the Museum of Civilization, which includes the National Museum of Oriental Art named after Giuseppe Tucci, the biggest Orientalist who studied the politics and culture of a territory as large as that extending from the Middle to the Far East. It was Giuseppe Tucci who came up with the idea of creating an Uzbek-Italian archaeological expedition which worked for many years on ancient archaeological sites in Uzbekistan. The museum opened in 1958, and its first exhibition was titled The Art of the East. Artifacts from Buddhist stupas were displayed. Currently, works of art from almost all over the Islamic world, from the Middle East to Central and Southeast Asia, are stored at the museum. Its collection covers the period from the 4th millennium BC to the modernity of Asian countries. It includes works originating from Uzbekistan.
These objects came from the legacy of the widow of Giuseppe Tucci, Mrs. Francesca Bonardi. When she died in 2014, she leave her collection to the museum, and then we see these objects.
The Bonardi collection contained more than 2,000 works from Asian countries. Among them were items of traditional Uzbek jewelry. They were mainly purchased in the markets of Kabul and Ghazni in the middle of the 20th century. Museum researchers defined the small collection as extremely valuable. The Tillakosh tiara is dated to the early 20th century. The museum's collection also features the traditional Suzanese of the second half of the 19th century. The experts of the museum identify this example embroidered with ornamental floral motifs as a Nurata embroidery. The Legacy of Uzbekistan collection at the Giuseppe Tucci Museum also contains wonderful ceramic examples. Deep manganese black paints shimmer on creamy slip coated with colorless lead glaze.